Good morning, Hot Rod Cityans. A little ahead of schedule. I got a lift. It was given to me actually. The day I got concrete, my buddy came over and was checking up on it, and it's like, hey, somebody was going to give me a lift. You can have that offer. So here, call this guy. So I called this guy. He's got a shop, half hour away, I guess. 20 minutes, maybe, something like that. I don't know. So it's a Nosbon, whatever lift. This thing's like 30 years old. So it's like one of the first variations of a two-post lift. It's a 7,000 pound lift. The model number is a SLT 7000 new, they call it. Reason being, the first design of it, instead of having cables like every other traditional lift, like most of you know, it had chains, which probably would have been pretty epic. So, I didn't get to film taking it down. It was very, very hot that day, and the guy was a little that I got it from, so I didn't want to creep him out like, conspiracy theorists. So, I actually had Andrew for the week, so I had to actually pay him to go help me. So it's fantastic when you got to pay your friends to give you a hand taking a lift down. So I guess you know what that means. If he wants to use it, he's got to pay to use it. So what I'm going to do is, this thing's got grease in it and everything else. I took apart one side, the left side. Yeah, the left side. I'm going to leave the right side intact until I put the left side back together. I was able to actually find a manual for it. They still make most of the parts for this thing. The only thing they don't is the hydraulic pump, motor assembly, the electronics, the brains of the operation and muscle. So I can actually go online and just buy a straight up like power unit for $200. I already had the main hydraulic line replaced and the hydraulic cylinders rebuilt. One of them was leaking. It wasn't leaking externally. These things actually have a like a weep hose, as it were, to where it leaks back and it's got a clear line so you can see if fluid's coming back to see if the piston's leaking. But I broke out the power washer, and I'm using biodegradable degreaser for all you tree huggers out there, for you cry and have to send you all tissues. So I'm gonna get to it. Continuing with the restoration and / upgrade of this very ancient lift. Structurally, it's all good and sound. Like I said, I already had the cylinders rebuilt. Between the cylinders and the new hose, it cost me about $460. So I got almost $500 into this thing. So I could have probably bought a newer lift for $1,000, but then I still would have wanted everything rebuilt. Only difference, I wouldn't have had, probably more than likely had to buy a whole new power unit. So the reason I'm getting a power unit, this is the motor and pump assembly. They're just set it wind. I can't get a new motor, or I can't get a new pump, and I maybe could have had the pump rebuilt, but by the time of maybe putting the money into it and then having the motor redone, just getting everything up to where I feel comfortable spec, then I could have bought it just as easily, actually saved money and bought the power unit. So everything power washed, degreased, bringing it in here. That way I can paint it. I got some pretty colors to paint it. Kind of match with the Hot Rod City theme and to match the building. So get these last big pieces in, get the loader hooked up with the other main pole, and we're gonna get to this. Here is one of the poles, the main poles. This would be the passenger side, driver's, or right side, as it were, when you're pulling into it. You see, I primed it already. The can and a little squirt, but I am using the bigger cans, 25% more. So, what I'm doing over here, though, what I'm doing is, this is the main carrier. The arms mount to it, goes up and down. The hydraulic cylinder mounts to it. So, the bearing is supposed to spin. That one does a little bit. This one takes a lot of effort. So, one of these was actually locked up. They're supposed to be seal bearings. They're not, because like when I got the power washer down in here, I could actually see water coming through here. So this lift spent time outside all its life. There is a dimple, like it's a cut ring, and then they take like a chisel and press it. So I could cut that, but then I'd have to like tack weld the new bearing in. Each one of these bearings is $30, and I need 8. I'm not buying them. Once I got it good and going, it's pretty easy to go. So I'm gonna show you what I'm doing. I do believe I am ready for the juicing of paint. As you can see, I got the lift painted, put back together, and stood up. I don't have the arms on yet because they're not finished painting them. I gotta fix the other ones, touch them up a little bit. So, cylinders are rebuilt. I got a new hose to attach the two together for the pressure side. And then I have this is it's called a weep line, I guess. I think that's what it was called in the parts manual. I just went down to my local hardware store and bought this. It's an airline hydraulic fluid and transmission fluid. You can use either because essentially that's all transmission fluid is a hydraulic fluid. So if the cylinder ends up leaking, fluid comes out of this. I have a leftover bracket up there. I plan to mount a little jug or something. All right. As you can see, maybe got a cable run here and a cable run here. All I've done is going up there and running through the outside of that's like a 4x4 tube. There's two pulleys in there. So on the outside of that, I've run these two. The forward version of this, I have to run all the way down through the carrier, and there's another pulley down there, so I have to run it all the way up, and then around the carrier and into this one. Now the back side of this cable here will just hook into this other hole here, and then when I do the other side, this one will hook into that piece, hook straight into it, and then the other one will loop around. What that does is they're leveling cables. So that way, hydraulics, if you hook two cylinders up to two separate cylinders, one hydraulic line with two separate cylinders, you could get variations in it, and this keeps you from doing it. So if there's more weight on one side of the vehicle, like if you got a person in the one side, that's 200 pounds on one side difference. These keep it level. So there's a block in this carrier. I'll show it to you. The block in this one has like 2 fingers gap from the front of the lift, because the cable routing. If you go to the other side, this one has no gap because the cable's offset. It's so that way you don't have to actually cross the cables up top. All right, now that piece is up, it sets the width for the top. There's no adjustment in there. They are oblonged a little, but you don't get any movement out of it because the way it cups over the top post. So the hydraulic cylinder line is actually like a 1/2 inch too long, so it's got a little sag to it. So I'm going to get some tie downs for it and some self tappers to get it out of the way. And then this weep line over here, I'm just going to leave dangle for the moment. And then whenever I have my I'm going to try to get the power unit ordered. And then whenever that happens, get that here, get it mounted. And when they get the electrician to come in here to do the electric in the garage, to start the electric in the garage, I'm going to go ahead and have them wire this up. Before that, sometime or another, I'm going to get it anchored. But I got to check the pictures because I snapped pictures of the floor and everything. Obviously this whole building has a process, so that way I'll know exactly where the lift goes. I don't want to hit my heating grid that's in here. So stay tuned for the next installment or the next part I get back on this.